Hey there, hello there. It's Jeff Carter welcoming you to another Degrassi special presentation. It's the Degrassi seasons ranked. All 18 seasons of Degrassi from next gen to next class have been ranked. I apologize to the OGers who grew up with Degrassi High and Degrassi Junior High, but I'm not at that stage. So when Degrassi Next Gen came out in 2001, I was 16 years old, so I was in high school at that time. Shows you my age. But anyway, throughout the 20 seasons, Degrassi gave us some very good characters, very good actors, and some great storylines. What I decided to do was have the 18 seasons and rank them. But I decided to use Degrassi Reddit community for help too. So what I did was I put 3 posts of 6 seasons. Now in Reddit, you can only have 6 options per poll. So that meant that with 6, 12, 18, I decided to go from 1 to 6, 7 to 12, and 13 to 18 in separate polls and to find out which one had it. The format was simple. The top 2 in each of the 3 polls would had the final 6. And then over the civic holiday long weekend, well, of course, in Canada, we have the first Monday of August being a holiday. It's not a statutory holiday, it's more of a public holiday because many provinces call it things differently. But of course, in Ontario, we call it civic holiday. So basically, on that 3-day holiday, I said, well, what's your favorite season out of the 6? And then those would go from 1 to 6 no matter what. Whichever season took third in the poll did not make the final 6, but they would be ranked 7, 8, and 9 because 3 times 3 would be 9. So basically, I would take a look at the third place seasons and rank them accordingly. And the fourth place seasons on them, whoever had the best percentage of votes got in as the number 10 seed. 2 of them only had 6% of the total vote. 1 of them had 10% of the total vote. So that one actually jumped into 10th place. And then the bottom 6, like fifth, whoever the bottom 2 of each group would be times 3 would make the bottom 6. But I would rank the bottom 6 on my own accord. So that's how we got it. So anyway, I know you want to know about the voting and you want to know there was a controversy. And I will show it to you right now. So the first one of the 3 I did was seasons 1 to 6 because splitting 18 seasons into 6, and when you only have 6 poll options at the highest, it just made sense. 666. So basically, that's just how it went. And the voting was pretty close. I mean, it was the highest vote total of any of the 3 polls. As you can see, season 3 and 4 were close together, 126 to 108. Basically, there was a massive preference, whereas it was tight for whoever ended up being third in the poll. Season 1 ended up being last with 12 votes. Kind of stupid. So the fact of the matter, so that meant seasons 3 and 4 went on to the final poll, whereas season 6 as the third place group actually got into the top 10, like 7, 8, or 9, but basically it'd be up to me to determine which spot it would be in. Season 5 had a chance to be from 10 to 12, be number 10, and all that. Season 2 ended up dropping to the 13 to 15 slot, and season 1 had the mercy of being one of the bottom 3. So that 7 to 12 was this. So what's your favorite season for 7 to 12? Only 214 people voted. But in the end, season 10 won with 82 votes. Season 7 had 55. But this was the most shocking. Season 12, I thought for sure was going to be top 2. I voted for it, obviously. But the votes were 55, 53. It was too close. It was like, wow, that was an upset. A massive upset. The other and then after season 12, as you see on the poll, season 9, 8, and 11, it was nowhere near. Season 9 had the mercy of possibly being just getting that 10 spot. So season 12 got knocked off to the 7, 8, 9 spots. Unfortunately, as I explained in the introduction, with the fact that it was the top 2 move on to the final 6, I can't change it. I thought for sure season 12 was going to win. I guess I kind of figured it was going to happen. So, fortunately, that happened. So we got the final 6, which is right there. And I voted for next class season 2. I completely forgot about season 13 and 14's thought and plot. But basically, season 13 won with 67 votes. Season 17, aka next class season 3, won with 39 for second, so they got into the final 6. Season 14 got third place, so that means they were 7, 8, or 9. And then season 18, the final season of Degrassi, got in fourth place and could be just making the top 10. And it did make the top 10 because due to the fact that almost 10% of people in that poll voted for it instead of and in the other 2 fourth placers had like 6% or something like that. Season 18 easily got in the top 10, and then season 15 and 16 were put on the back burners. So basically that's how it went on and all that. And let's just go ahead and tell you how the final 6 happened using the powers of the visual. And there you go. The final 6. And then I explained myself, the top 2 in each of the 3 polls are the best. So it goes from 1 to 6. The third place season got spots 7 to 9. Because I make the video, the order is season 12 got 7, season 6 got 8, and season 14 got 9. Fourth place gets spots 10 to 12. So season 18, the last season, got 10. Then season 5, I decided to make it 11, just outside the top 10. Season 9 makes 12. And then the bottom 6. Well, I guess I made the bottom 6 like combined and all that from 13 to 18. So season 2, season 1, season 16, 8, 15, and 11 are in that order. So the top 6 is in red attends. I had 205 votes in the 3-day timeline. And I voted for season 4 because I like season 4. And as you can see, it went out. The funny thing is, 149 of the 205 votes were for the early iteration of Next Generation, not the 10 to 14 slot. Well, I guess you can add on the 14 extra. So yeah, I forgot about that number. So as you can see, the bottom 2 only got 13 votes combined. That was less than season 7. That's kind of pathetic, don't you think? So that's good. So now that you've gotten the details and the voting and all that, just to see what the numbers were, here we go. So ranking number 18 on the list was season 11. Season 11 didn't really seem that good. I mean, I know it was the season which Claire had her drama with Eli and basically decided to try to join a weed cult and all that because she had troubles at home dealing with her mother and father divorcing. And basically that was when Claire finally decided to let go of her Christian faith and become, well, she was still Christian, but she wasn't as painful like an observant of a Christian than most people are. That would be safe for Becky in season 13. But season 11 was just, it just seemed a little off compared to season 10. And all that. Although season 11 kind of was if I remember right, that was the season when Drew was involved with Vince and Bianca. And basically that was a weird triangle. How Drew didn't understand that Bianca stayed with Vince so that Drew would be okay. And then, of course, Vince shows up and shoots Adam. I wonder if he shot Adam on purpose or he thought that was Drew. But basically, Vince shot Adam and then, he ran out. Bianca decided to pick up the gun and go to Vince's hideout and shoot him and kill him. But then basically, Drew convinces Bianca not to do it. And he finally stands up to his mother, Audra, and tells her that basically it was Drew's fault why Adam got shot and not Bianca's. Season 11 seemed flat. I mean, I believe that was when Maya debuted, but, Maya would not be used great till the next season. Number 17 on the list was season 15. the first season of Next Class. Now, I was under the impression that after finally the episode in season 14, that was the end of Degrassi for good, and people said it was. But then it got renewed, what was it, Netflix? Yeah, it was Netflix that wanted a Degrassi era, a Degrassi show, and basically make it more dark than the topics were for the previous few years. So basically, a lot of people say Next Class was a spin-off of the Degrassi from seasons 10 to 14 in such a way that no storyline from the season 14 summer movie Don't Look Back, or I guess what they call Summer Girls. There was no, there was a storyline, but nothing from that storyline happened. That led to season 15 and all that, except for maybe Zoe's affection for Grace, but I don't think that happened from the summer movie. So anyway, yeah, it was a decent show. And I mean, yeah, the Hunter in the gaming club fiasco, Hunter basically was trying to get something for intramurals and all that, but then the feminist club decided to basically destroy Hunter, and they seem to be unfair. Like Maya decided to take up a cause of feminism, and Hunter acted angrily, and Hunter was going to shoot Maya. It's eerily similar to Rick when he wanted to shoot Emma, but Rick wanted to shoot Emma because Emma didn't love him the way he loved her, and Hunter just wanted to get rid of Maya because he thinks that the feminist club basically had nothing to do with video games and basically just wanted him dead. So Hunter decides to take a gun to school. Miles does stop him. Simpson does say something about it. And Hunter goes to therapy and all that. I wonder what would have happened if Hunter did shoot Maya and if Mr. Hollingsworth would have done something about it. Probably not. So that was that. Number 16 on the list was season 8. It's hard to imagine. Like, season 8 brought us the introduction to Claire, Ollie, Casey, and Connor, and it dealt with topics such as, the Shep coming into the school as the new principal after Hatzalakos left. And basically, he's all about the rah-rah pump and circumstance of school spirit more so than, the brains of the operation. Like, Sav and company didn't like him. He was predatory towards Holly Jane in a sense, and basically he didn't like the gifted class. It was great seeing Connor being diagnosed with autism and basically talking about it, but it was like one episode. It was like, Jesus, Murphy. But then, season 10 and 11, Connor has his outbreak, that has his problems. But yeah, the Shep got put in sensitivity training. He does come back, but by the end of season 8, he's just not that good. And then before season 9, Hatzalakos has to step in. So yeah, season 8 was kind of dull and as dishwasher. And I know the Jane molestation thing with her father was a key storyline too. But the worst part about it is that, Lucas admitted his faults and then Lucas just vanished. That was the last episode we saw him in, and that pissed me off because I wanted to see a redemption arc for Lucas. Number 15 is season 16, aka season 2, aka the season I actually voted on myself just to see the poll results and basically ruining myself. So season 16 was okay. Like, it was just the one big storyline about the racism storyline and how it was handled poorly. It basically just gave credence to the fact that, Degrassi was trying to get Northern Tech back for a prank that saw them naked and all that. I could see that. But the worst part is Northern Tech, they got off scot-free and all that, and then, the controversy just went to Frankie's racism. The volleyball team kicks her off. Frankie tries her best to apologize, but they seem clumsy and not really that good. Add to the fact that everyone is starting to get on Frankie's nerves because Frankie is because she's a Hollingsworth. And I think that some people are pissed off that her dad is mayor and he's misogynistic as fuck. And then all of a sudden, they just pick on Frankie for her upbringing and maybe her dad. Add to the fact that Tiny got suspended for protecting Shay and Lola. And then all of a fucking sudden, Simpson is a villain. And Simpson refuses to talk to them about it, saying that, Tiny got what he did. It was an automatic 5-day suspension. And that Frankie's kicked out the volleyball team. What else can I do to her? I can't really punish her. Although, there is a point, and this is an unpopular opinion. But basically, I think that Snake was scared of retribution from Mayor Hollingsworth because Mayor Hollingsworth does take control of Toronto, and he could possibly try to screw Degrassi over via the school board. So maybe Simpson was scared of retribution. Of course, Throwback Thursday was terrible. I mean, they really wasted the cameos by like Liberty, Paige, Marco, Emma, Spitter. It seemed wasted having some guys back. But in the end, Frankie finally decides to understand what she did wrong. She's back on the volleyball team to get rid of Northern Tech, and they win the championship. And then, shit happens, and I will talk about that in one of the top 6 seasons. Number 14 was season 1, the season of, the beginning, like 20 years ago. We're approaching the 20-year anniversary of Degrassi Junior High. Degrassi Next Gen being on the air. And I think season 1 was decent. It seemed underrated. But season 1 seemed to push, Emma with Sean, Jimmy being kind of a sports bully, and especially towards Sean, and then the step-sibling relationship between Ashley and Toby. Because, Ashley and Toby both had a parent marry each other, and basically they're step-siblings, and they both have different opinions. And, Ashley was the go-getter type, and Toby was the freaking nerd. And it was weird, all that. I mean, Ashley ruined herself with that ecstasy thing. So, yeah. It seemed to me that Ashley and Toby were going to be the breakout stars, and then at the end of season 2, it was just basically they both fell off a cliff in a sense. Toby more so than Ashley. I thought Ashley was black. That would have been nice to see a black character like Ashley, but she was white. And I'm like, what? She wasn't black? She has to be black. But, that would have been great for Ashley if she was black, and she's not black. Ugly. Anyway, ironically enough, the 13th place in the bottom 6 was season 2. Didn't get a lot of votes. Got more votes than season 1, but yeah, season 2 is basically Ashley trying to get back towards Paige's clicking with Jimmy and all that. But Paige and her sassiness basically forced Terry and Hazel to choose between Paige and Ashley. Unfortunately, they chose Paige. Ashley turned goth and was with Ellie and basically wanted to go back towards Jimmy, but Jimmy liked the old Ashley, and Ashley wasn't too happy with that. Season 2 was also famous for Emma finding out that her mom, Spike, wanted to date her teacher, Mr. Simpson. Emma was worried about how people would perceive her at school to be. And all that. There was a lot of problems. Like, she won the science fair, and Snake was one of the judges, and she thought that it was biased. However, the other judges did give Emma better scores than Snake, so basically, Emma wasn't affected. Emma was dealing with the marriage of Spike and Snake. And strange as it sounds, Spike ends up getting pregnant. Emma is not too pleased that Spike wants to abort it, especially after Spike says, I don't want a second mistake. To me, it feels like season 2 was when Emma was at her most triggered and all that. And also when Emma being triggered. Well, I know that season 2 was good. Emma had to deal with Raj and thinking that Raj was unfair towards her presentation, and then, it was a clash over who's right and who's wrong. Emma does deserve a little bit of blame in her genetically modified foods being a little pushy. But at the end, Raj became the bigger of the two evils. And it kind of set him in such emotion to go downhill. I mean, yeah, we saw him International Day in that kilt. It was funny as fuck, but it just brought Radic to more of a dictatorship, if you will. And I often wonder if season 3 and 4, by him being so strict and all that, he was just trying to prevent the students from going towards him because of what Emma said over the intercom about Ratchet's policies. I think he was trying to take control of the school back. And then, of course, we saw Manny going with Craig and all that. And, you know, Craig's problems with his father. That bookmarked the season premiere and the season finale. It was, like, unbelievable. You know, Craig was such a good character. So anyway, so that was the bottom six. And now let's go to the next group of people. I picked season 9 as my number 12. They took 4th in the middle poll, but basically, I think season 9 was, to me, I didn't like season 9 in a sense. I didn't really watch as much. But season 9 brought Hatzalakos back as principal. Half of it was because of Shep's ineptness, and half of it was because Peter actually developed a meth addiction because he wanted to be closer to Mia and her people for modeling. And Mia goes to Paris without Peter. I wonder if she took Isabella with her. But I don't know. But yeah, so Peter and Hatzalakos are reunited and all that. I think Hatzalakos went back to Toronto to be with Peter because Peter was falling apart without her. He could have easily moved to Regina with Hatzalakos at the end of season 7, but he got emancipated. Season 9 was also known for Claire losing Casey to Jenna. And it was like Jenna swipes Casey and all that. And Claire's not too happy. I think that was the season, or was it season 10 when Casey had to deal with Coach Carson? I think that was season 9. I was going to say Casey getting pregnant with Jenna, but that was season 10. So, no. Well, yeah, season 9 didn't seem that well organized in my mind. I might be off. Next up was season 5. So it turned out to be number 11. So number 11 is season 5. That was the season in which, you know, people think the writers just screwed up with everybody. Season 5 was the JT and Liberty pregnancy angle that screwed up because the writers put it from JT's perspective, but not a lot from Liberty's perspective. The way it was portrayed with Liberty was that she was just being mean to JT. She was being controlling. She wanted to take care of the baby. She basically blamed JT for a lot of things and gave up the baby. And it was like she was playing them for chumps. And Liberty refused to tell anybody about her pregnancy, thinking that she was out of the way. I mean, Liberty seemed not to be slut-shamed for her pregnancy. I guess people just ignored her. You know, Liberty had the baby and put it up for adoption, so at least that happened, not abortion. I just wonder what the Liberty pregnancy thing would be like if Emma got involved. But of course, Emma wasn't really on good terms with Liberty for season 5. They rarely were on good terms with each other in the first few seasons, to be fair. So, yeah, and then we also had Emma's year that was weird. It was Emma turned into this boy crazy person that she was after Peter. She was upset that Manny stole Peter from her, but then understood about Peter framing Manny with child pornography and all that shit. And Manny losing her home because her father refused to help her out. So Emma takes her in, and I think Emma knew what she was doing with Manny. She figured that she was with Peter, and if Manny had objected, she could throw Manny to the streets. Emma seemed to be in control and all that. That wasn't Emma at all. I mean, yeah, she was bossy and manipulative. And why the hell was she with Peter? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Peter screwed Manny over. And Emma was willing to help Manny get revenge. And then she balked. She liked the shirtless pic. And so, you know, she fell in love with him. I think she just wanted a boy because, remember, in the whole Rick Murray situation, she didn't have a boy and she rarely had any friends. So basically that's why Emma became so clingy to Liberty and Manny as friends and to trying to find the perfect boy because she figures that if Rick were to come back, a Rick type would come after her, the boyfriend would easily beat him up. But yeah, you know, Emma had the eating disorder because of Snake's treatment with Hatzalakos and they put too much pressure on her. I really hate Spike putting pressure on Emma. I wish Emma had blasted Spike for that. But the best part about season 5, well, and it's not Jimmy and Hazel's problems because Jimmy seems to emotionally cheat on Hazel with Ellie. It's Spinner's redemption arc. It's the best of season 5. I liked it. Spinner got himself into deep trouble dealing with this whole Rick Murray thing. He got expelled in season 4. He came back season 5. He made a goal to make Jimmy talk to him by the end of the year. He said to himself, no matter how long it takes, I will get Jimmy, Paige, Marco, and all of them to like me. It took a while. Spinner basically decided to throw Jay off and yell at him, and Jay, for some reason, decides he needs to get better. I think it was because of the fact that Spinner abandoned him. He needed to be better. But, Spinner gets everyone back eventually, and it works. His patience pays off. Number 10, just ahead of, just sneaking in the top 10 was season 18, who had 10% of the vote from the third poll, from seasons 13 to 18. So, yeah, season 18's got to be it. The last season's got to be in the top 10. So, season 18 had some good storylines. Lola being impregnated by Miles, and, it showed Lola going into the room to get the abortion. I think that was the first time Degrassi or many shows dared to tackle that scene. Tristan wakes up from his coma, and Tristan decides not to keep Miles from his dreams and all that from writing school. I thought it was riding, but like ride horses, but writing. It brought a lot of things going about Zoe trying to tell her mom that she's gay and all that, and not getting anywhere and being kicked to the curb, and Grace takes her in. Zoe wants to be with Rasha and decides to choose Rasha. Now, a lot of people said Zoe basically was pushing Rasha onto her mom, but Zoe was trying to prove to her mom that she is gay, and it's not a cry for attention. There's a lot of things to do with the Hollingsworths. Frankie and Goldie become a power couple. Maya, this is the season after Maya almost kills herself, and Maya has to take things one step at a time. Esme getting into a polyamorous relationship with Frankie and Sig. The prom that Sig and Maya both accidentally go to the prom together, and Esme is not too happy, wants to destroy Sig. And even though Maya was trying to help Sig get towards Esme, she knew that Esme needed help, and Sig was the best person for that. And then, of course, Hunter having his problems dealing with Yale being non-binary, and then he decided that, screw it, I'm not going to go with Yale. If you can't choose who you like better, boys or girls, I'm out the door. And a lot of people were mad at Hunter, saying that Hunter was being transphobic or whatever, binary phobic. But no, he liked girls. And of course, people laugh at him because, about what Hunter will have to identify as. And people hate Hunter because he's the Hollingsworth. He was kind of a dick in a sense, but yeah. And Esme blew up at Sig, injuring him. Maya feels terrible and doesn't want to go to graduation because of how she interfered in things. But Grace tells Maya that you got to take things one step at a time. And Maya's happy. So there's a graduation. Esme is ineligible to graduate because she missed the last month for some reason. And then Esme buys Sig a motorcycle. And then when Sig hates it, she smashes his head with the helmet. But the guidance counselor, Miss Growl, says that it's not too late to admit your mistakes, Esme. And Maya did say that she told the school about Esme because she needed to thank Esme. In a sense, because Esme kind of saved her life. And then we have that graduation speech by Zoe. Of course, she didn't make it at graduation because she was upset that her mom refused to come to graduation at all, and basically sent her dad with documentation for her to go to college. But Zoe doesn't care, saying that her mom's dead to her. And basically, her mom remarried because, Zoe being gay, not getting roles and all that, she needed the sweet life. So that's what happened. And then we get the montage, which is great. It shows Maya and Sig headed for California, Frankie and Goldie. Not Frankie and Goldie. Winston and Goldie. Winston going to Europe with Miles. A kind of in a hospital and all that, but I thought it was Esme, but no, it was Grace getting her lungs finally for her cystic fibrosis. So, yeah, it was great. Oh, yeah, and Tiny and Shay being a power couple and going off to college. So, here we go, top 9. Number 9 is season, what did I say? Season 12? I think? No, sorry, season 6. I think I said season 6. I forgot about it. Hang on one tick. Season 4. Oh, I put season 14 ninth. Know what? Fuck it. Fuck a chicken nugget. I'm going to swap. I'm going to go season 6 as number 9. So season 6 comes up. And season 6 was when Paige and Alex, I know it's kind of started in season 5, but it became more of a thing and all that. It also was when Paige started, no, sorry, Paige panicking and all that. Yeah, that was season 6. I thought Paige, when she panics and all, has her panic attacks, was season 7. That probably was. But yeah, Palex was huge in season 6. This was the season in which Emma was comfortably with Peter, and then Sean, for some reason, popped up out of freaking nowhere. He came back to Toronto for Emma. And Peter wants to be friends with Sean, but he's also worried about the fact that Sean will steal Emma from him. So Peter goes to extremes to destroy Sean and keep Emma for himself. Sean and Peter go street racing. Emma tells Sean he needs to go to jail and all that. Emma sticks with Peter, and then all of a sudden, thanks to Manny and Jay and a mask in her locker that Peter put, even though he didn't know the combination, Emma realizes that Peter was the scumbag the whole time and dumps Peter off. Peter then tries to rebound with Darcy and ends up screwing up considerably by making sure she posted provocative photos of herself to this Adams guy who basically stalks her. And then Peter and Darcy are over, but Peter ends up winning Darcy over somehow. I guess because he managed to guilt Darcy to the things. I think Peter kind of saw how Spitter was saved in season 5, quote unquote, and wanted to be a better person. Yeah, so Emma goes with Sean and all that, and then, Manny's upset over Craig dumping her off, so basically she throws a party for Liberty's birthday, realizing that it is Liberty's birthday. Liberty and JT have issues because Liberty seems to be jealous of JT's relationship with Mia, and the worst part is that Lakehurst wants to destroy JT for that relationship with Mia. And they do. So Drake Lampley, the redheaded kid, does stab JT in the aorta, and JT bleeds out, and Liberty is the first to find him, and her primal scream comes out, and then people don't know how to process it. Toby went downhill in a sense. I guess without JT, Toby seemed to be a non-vital character. And Emma reacting to it. Emma didn't have a strong connection with JT. But the problem was that with Manny moving back to her parents' place, I guess after the thing, Emma felt guilty. Because it was at a party they were not supposed to have, and JT died 2 steps from her house. She had a lot of guilt and all that. And her anger was that Manny refused to have anything to talk to Emma and all that, because that would have fanned the flames. I would have cooled Emma down, but Emma basically was upset with Manny moving home, Manny abandoning her on a girls' night for Damien, as it seemed. Manny for having a cheerleading competition, and Emma thought that it was just dancing on JT's grave. And basically starting to go whole Lakehurst thing. Snake is not too pleased. Snake says that you're blaming one school for JT's death. But your anger is not towards Lakehurst, your anger is towards Manny. And then, Manny and Emma make up, and Emma doesn't screw Manny over anymore. I think Emma finally learned that she needs to be with Manny. And that might be a clingy phase, if you will. So, oh yeah, I forgot to mention about season 9 was when Emma and Kelly broke up. And Kelly moves back to the Yukon, and Emma's all by herself. Emma realizes that she's got problems because she was chasing friends instead of grades. She was useless without Manny and Liberty around. And then, she married Spinner at the end of season 9. So, yeah, that was huge. What else was huge? Spinner had something in season 6, right? I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, season 6 was just weird and all that. And now the new number 7 on the list. Number 8, sorry. The new number 8. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm doing the numbers wrong. New number 8 is season 14. The last season before Next Class. Which was supposed to be the last season. So, season 14 was tying up some loose ends. You know, Claire got pregnant by Eli, even though she thought it was with Drew. And that was kind of out of the blue, if you will. Claire and Eli having their issues. Claire miscarries the baby and all that. But season 14 is also known for Degrassi nudes because Zoe and the Power Squad won new uniforms for a cheerleading competition. So they basically post provocative photos of themselves for money. Frankie doesn't have a good idea about it, but Zoe basically forces Frankie to pull her weight or leave. Frankie decides to walk away, and Zoe tells Frankie that if she thinks about telling on people, she's just as implicated as everyone else. So there goes a lot of blaming and all that. Winston gets involved to try to help Frankie out by ruining Zoe. Zoe finally decides, after a talk with Lola, that she needs to come clean about the whole Degrassi nudes thing, being the ringleader and all that. So she gets herself in trouble. She does get probation. She could have went to jail for 5 years. And a lot of people were upset that Grace, because of the website and the money, never got punished, and that the cheerleaders all got detention for the rest of the year. The worst part is that actually spelled the end for Simpson, as he was replaced with Pill, who put on some policies, you know, the no cell phones and the no backpacks policy. That's fair. The cameras in the hallway could be good, but she decided to put audio to try to see what their problems are and to see what she could do to be the best principal around. But that pisses off Claire about how she knew about the miscarriage, and Claire decides to smash the cameras, get herself a 2-week suspension, and lose everything. But of course, her biggest problem is the no affection policy. Since when is a no affection policy needed? Like, it doesn't make sense. It boggles the mind. So Drew gets in trouble for making a proposal to Becky by Pill. He's not allowed to go to prom, and Drew listens to her and decides not to go to prom, but Audra goads him into it, especially after Dallas booked the wrong date for a boat, booking it a year after the prom by accident. So he puts the prom on at the dot with all the decorations from the school, and of course Pill knows it's him because all the key codes were like she knew, and Drew as student council president knew. So unfortunately, Drew gets caught. Drew is told to out other people. Drew refuses. And then Drew is told, you will get your diploma, you will not cross the stage, and I have to make you an example for everyone coming back. So, you know, he's upset, and Audra doesn't mind. Audra knew about it. And then the seniors decide to do the We Love Drew thing with their caps, and Pill said that, I know one thing about this school, they band together. So she allows Drew to cross the stage and all that. And that seemed to be the end of it. But the summer movie comes up, and then Tristan says, you think that's bad? Wait till the new class comes by. And I'm like, oh my God, they didn't end it. They're not going to end it. Damn, I thought 14 years would be good for the show. But no. Oh boy. So, yeah, that was hard to believe. And of course, Pill was replaced by Simpson in season 15. I think it was the plan the whole time that Simpson was going to be cleared of wrongdoing because of the Degrassi nudes. But also, Pill screwed herself over. I think that because of about her policies and who she did it to, that being Drew, and Audra is part of the school board, Audra would probably have relayed the information, and Pill would have been out the door. And Pill was being unreasonable. So yeah, season 14 sucked. And just missing the top 6 was season 12. Now, I don't like to say this, but I know season 12 is in the top 6, but I have to go by my own rules. Top 2 in each poll. And believe me, I was shocked season 10 beat season 12. I thought about switching 12 with 10, and then, season 10 got, I believe, the third highest number. What did season 10 get? Yeah, season 10 got the third highest number. I thought about swapping 12 and 10 out, and season 12 being number 3, but that wouldn't be fair to the later seasons that were from the third poll, and it wouldn't be fair to season 7. So yeah. So if I were to move things around, if I had the power to move around, season 12 would be number 3 on the list. But because I have to go by my own rules, and the Reddit community screwed up by 2 numbers. If it was a tie, I would have given season 12 the advantage. But yeah, I feel bad, but rules are rules. So season 12 would have been number 3, pushing, and then it would have been season 7, 13, 17, or whatever it is. And then season 10 would have ended up number 6. I mean, number 7 on the list. But anyway, season 12, as we all know, is the Cam season, when Cam and his hockey team and the hockey players come into the school. And Cam tries his best, but he's put on a lot of pressure because he's a scoring whiz. He's homesick. He comes from 10 hours away from Toronto. Jeez. And his teammates are not happy for him. He has his puppy dog love for Maya, even though that Maya was kind of sick, but Sig was a jealous prick. So, yeah, the Maya Sig Cam love triangle. It seemed that Maya didn't want to help Cam out when Cam punched Sig out. I think Cam figured that Maya was scared to go against Sig, that Sig would probably punch her too. So Cam got suspended, and then Cam apologized to Maya for everything and wants to meet with Maya. But in the end, Sig comes by and yells at him, and then he decides to text her saying it's over, and then take his life in the JT Memorial Garden or the greenhouse. Eli sees his body, and it was sickening. And it seemed that Maya didn't care about Cam's death. It was like, what? It just doesn't make sense. But I forgot to mention about season 14 was that was when Maya became overprotective of Miles, because Miles was making moves that kind of reminded her of Cam. Like, Cam was always in her mind. So she tried her best to solve the problems. She does help Miles deal with his dad and feels great. And Miles says, check up on me whenever possible. And she said, no, I think you're cool. But of course, that was the end of that. But then, it came out in such a way. But yeah, season 12, Maya, in a sense, slowly but surely convinced herself that she was terrible and should have helped Cam out. But, I mean, Maya was a teenager. How would she have known about Cam's problems? Was it season 13? She made that monologue saying that Cam broke up with me. What was I supposed to do? I wish I had helped better. I'm never going to be happy again. Like, fuck, what? I think it was season 13 when she says that. I didn't like it one bit. So, that wasn't good. Alright, so here we go. Number 6 was season 17, a.k.a. Next Class 3, a.k.a. Maya's depression. After the bus crash to end season 2, a.k.a. season 16, Next Class season 2, a.k.a. season 16, Maya started going through depression, going through stuff with Syed, and basically liking death porn and all that stuff. Like, she was upset with herself because it seemed that, Tristan in the coma, even though Tristan was a total douchebag to Maya, that she felt she was responsible for people getting hurt. So she went through a season-long thing. Should I kill myself? Should I not kill myself? And then by the time season 17 ends, she decides, I better off myself. So she decides to take some pills, go on the bus with the headphones on, and an homage to Cam. She did get affected by Cam's suicide, but she never said much after season 14. She didn't mention my name. And actually, I think that if she talked about Cam, my name, and all that to other people, people would not have judged her. Her mom and the police basically judged Maya, saying that you can't let a boy ruin your life, and basically you can't help people who can't help themselves. I think they would have had more sympathy towards Maya. But of course, Maya then goes to sleep, and then she wakes up. She says, "What am I doing wrong?" And then she decides to go to the roof to off herself. And then Sig and Esme decide to make out on the roof. And they find Maya convulsing because the pills finally took effect. Because it takes a while for pills to take effect on the human body. And Esme tells Sig, don't make her throw up because she might choke on her vomit. And then Esme realized the story about how her mother killed herself in front of Esme when she was 10. They save Maya. She's going to make a full recovery. Thank goodness for that. And then Tristan at the end of that episode says, I want pizza. And people were upset with that ending. Some people thought that, it was probably to drive attention away from Maya, but I doubt it. He had coma brain. What else do you want? So then next we got number 5, and that's season 13. Season 13 was a big season. It started with Maya having issues with Miles and the fact that Zoe was interfering in the relationship, and Maya and Zoe having issues with each other. Zoe slut-shaming Maya online. Maya retaliates with a song and gets into deep trouble. Simpson basically becomes a kind of a dick in a sense, but maybe it's the school board's policy, or maybe Simpson didn't want to piss off Zoe's mother and all that because, Zoe's an actress and all that. Kind of pathetic, Simpson. But anyway, yeah, so Maya's mom basically tells Maya to be the bigger person. And, Zoe is assaulting Maya in many ways, and yet Maya has to take it? That's kind of pathetic. That doesn't teach you anything. So, yeah, Maya had issues. Season 13 was also the season in which Becky turned herself down a notch, being Christian and all that. I think Jenna helps her out. But yeah, so season 13, Zoe gets raped and all that by Luke and one of his friends, and then they go to the trial. Becky's parents want Becky to testify for Luke, to protect Luke and protect the family. And Luke even says that you have an honor because I saved you from our grandmother's wrath when you dropped the ring down the sink. However, Becky says the next day she actually went to her grandma's house and confessed everything, saying that Luke was just protecting her. And then Luke tells her about these things. And then Becky decides to go on trial and expose her brother for the liar he is. So Luke gets thrown away in juvie. Becky basically is made persona non grata within the family. And then the debate is why did they pressure Becky to lie? It could have been favoritism towards Luke more so than Becky because, Luke was a hockey player and all that. And that's why they moved from Florida to Toronto. Or basically, it could be something else. I know that you're probably not going to agree with me on this, but whatever. I think that the Bakers were upset with Becky because of the way she was with Adam. When did Adam die? Season 13? I forget the season he died. Yeah, I think it was season 13 when Adam died. The first part of season 13 was when Adam couldn't decide between Imogen and Becky, and then he decides to go back to Becky, but then he stupidly texts and drives and dies. I know the actress who played Adam had a hand in this, but texting and driving? That doesn't make sense about Adam's death being that way. And I think it's because Becky, was with a trans boy, a trans person, and it ruins the Christian values because it makes fundamental Christians into hypocrites, in a sense. But yeah, Zoe and Maya finally make up at the end of season 13 and all that. So yeah, I feel bad for Becky. All right, so that is that. Let me see here. Okay, so all right, so number 4 is season 7 on the list. Season 7 was the one that closed the chapter on the next generation people, all that. However, it started with a bang because Lakehurst school burned down. The school burned down during a fire. It's not explained what happened, who was responsible for it. Could have been Degrassi people getting back at Lakehurst for killing JT. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, season 7 starts off that way. Lakehurst has to move into Degrassi, so you get some characters like Holly J, Sav, Bruce the Moose, Johnny DeMarco, Anya, Damien, and a lot of other people moving in. I think this was a move calculated because of the fact that with so many characters dying, not dying off in a sense, not dying off literally, but dying off in the sense that they're gone. And I guess CTV renewed the season for an 8th season. They needed to pass the torch. And they did. Well, Spinner had his testicular cancer. That sucked. But, yeah, that really sucked. You know, Spinner's problems. Spinner and Jimmy fully getting back together in a sense. Damien going through the 3 girls of Emma, Manny, and Liberty. It was like, what the heck? Of course, season 7's premiere also had the fact that Darcy was date raped because someone had a rape drug in her drink and all that. Because she goes for a ski weekend with Manny and Peter. Darcy loses her spot at the Friendship Club. Darcy goes through some self-loathing, basically just twice almost killing herself. She just couldn't deal with her parents. She couldn't tell her parents she was raped because she was supposed to save things till marriage and all that. So she basically decides to pin things on Simpson rather than tell her parents. But after Emma interferes with things, then Darcy tells the school everything. But Simpson's job can't be saved in a sense because they're going to think that Simpson forced Darcy to backtrack. So Darcy feels bad for herself and all that. But she does tell everyone the truth. Simpson has a tough time coming back to the school. It was basically Lakehurst being dicks and all that, like Lucas, for one. And he was having crisis problems, and Spike decides that the best thing to do is just to leave him at Mercy and take the kids to her mother's place. Emma stays behind because someone has to be the adult in the situation, and it turns Spike into a dick. Spike said about Snake, says that Emma's trying to do control, and the last time she tried that, she had an eating disorder, and then basically Emma should have flipped out at Spike. I thought she did, but no, I guess not. That was also the season when Emma went through the Purple Dragon thing, and she finally realizes that she can't have an eating disorder and all that after the leader of the Purple Dragon thing tells her that this dress was the biggest we could find for you, trying to insult her weight. But Emma decides to stand up for her cause. Even though that seemed that the school wanted the Purple Dragon, like Armstrong, what a dick. So she basically takes off the purple dress and is naked and all that. She does get in trouble with Hatzalakos for a dress code thing, but, I think in a sense that it made Purple Dragon change their minds on things. So Damien goes through the 3 girls. Damien's with Liberty at the prom, cheating with Liberty behind Emma's back. Toby exposes it, and Emma, instead of overreacting like she used to do, decides that Damien was a dick and basically says that Liberty deserves to be with Damien. And then, they have a nice send-off in season 7 for people like Spinner, Jimmy, Emma's graduating class and all that. It was nice. And the JT Memorial Garden, taking the tassel on JT's graduation cap, excellent. That was great. I liked it so much. It was a good way to end things. Okay, so that leads us to number 3, and that's season 10. I know it should be season 12 technically, but rules are rules. I can't break my own rules. So season 10 was when Simpson finally becomes principal, and, he introduces some nice stuff. He's kind of a passive principal in a sense. The school board is not too happy with Simpson, mostly because Riley hazed Drew, and, Audra was this mother who always thought Drew can do no wrong and never blamed Drew for anything. And then Simpson is basically told to ship up or shape out. No, shape up or ship out. So in season 10, they decided to do a Vegas night for a dance and all that. And Simpson's not too pleased, but Sav and Holly J, who were part of the school council, student council, said, it'll be fine. So Sav and Holly J were their little chaperones. Fitz wants to destroy Eli for being with Claire. Ali is in the boiler room with Drew, and Sab and Holly J sneak off to do their own sexual tension stuff. Unfortunately, everything gets found out, especially with the fact that the police had to be involved with Fitz almost stabbing Eli. Basically, Simpson's told that you have to do something about this. So Simpson basically decides to put the school kind of on lockdown. Police protection, no extracurriculars, and basically blatantly punishing everyone who was involved. Ollie transferred schools and all that. Mrs. Torres was interfering, as usual, saying that Ellie needs to be taught a lesson because of what she was with Drew. Sab and Holly J were kind of stripped, in a sense, of their powers. There was a uniform policy in place. Simpson was just being a dick, in a sense. But I think the school board had a lot more to do with this. And Simpson was following his job. He should have just basically said to the school board that if they're pressuring him, then fuck you, I'm done. But I don't know what Simpson would have been like. And, Stephen Brogan was a key part of Degrassi. So, yeah. So, what can you do? So, there's a uniform policy. There's a lot of stuff in Season 10. Jenna was on Next Teen Start and was not allowed to show her daily life at Degrassi because of their draconian principle. Simpson does get taught a lesson in a sense and says that the better you do things, the more things come back. And, the school listens to him. It all fell down. Allie went to a girls' school. She got in trouble for smoking. Basically, her parents believed that Allie was doing it, but she was being framed, and Allie wasn't trying to explain herself, but her parents said, no, that's not true. Allie runs away, finds Johnny DeMarco, and Johnny tells her that you can't run away from your problems because Johnny was with Drake Lampley when he stabbed JT. So basically, the Mandaris go through family therapy, and this was the last straw for Sav protecting himself from an arranged marriage more so than Anya. Anya then slides down the rope, if you will. So yeah, that's Season 10 in a nutshell. And then number 2, and I'm ticked off because I knew Season 4 was going to be good, but it just took silver. It took runner-up. I'm not too happy about it, but whatever. I have to take it. It was close, 84 to 65. So what happened was, Season 4. Yes, we all know what Season 4 is known for. But here's what Season 4 also had. It had the conclusion of Paige's rape storyline from Season 2 with Dean and finally getting her day in court. And unfortunately, because of lack of evidence and all that stuff, I don't know why, because I thought that Paige told Sauvé a lot of things. And that was not admissible in court. So anyway, Dean gets off scot-free. He brags about how he raped Paige and got away with it. Paige decides to crash Spinner's car into Dean's car, take the rap, and basically said that's, I'm going to confess, that's what good people do when they do something bad. But unfortunately, that led to problems for Paige because she also had Spinner cheating on her with Manny while Paige is getting a job at the movie theater with Alex to pay for Spinner's car. All that. And then Paige falls in love with Mr. O, who's a student teacher, and Paige basically protecting Mr. O when talking to Simpson and Hatzalakos. And finally, Mr. Olander, if you will, decides to finally tell the truth. And it was just like, what the fuck, Paige? Why are you protecting this dude? I guess Paige was so upset with how Season 4 treated her. Like, Spinner left her for Manny. She had Rick come back in her life and the whole brouhaha. And, with Mr. Olander, her mind was not clear and all that. And then she turned to Alex in Season 5. I'm just shocked. Marco had a storyline about the fact that the blood drive he was making, because, he's student council president, wouldn't allow his blood because he's gay and he wants to make a stink about it. Hatzalakos doesn't really say anything about it. And then basically, at the end of Season 4, you had Kevin Smith putting a Jay and Silent Bob movie in Degrassi. And Kevin Smith's real-life love affair with Caitlin bloomed and basically made Caitlin and Joey persona non grata. I was like, what the fuck? Also, Craig being bipolar, finally being diagnosed in When Doves Cry and going through the motions of issues, especially with Ashley leaving for England. And of course, we got to talk about the Rick Murray situation. I'll try my best to keep it down as fast as possible, but it's going to be hard. So basically, well, everyone will probably guess what number one is. That's season 3. So the continuation from season 3 is when Rick comes back to the school in the 4th episode. If the first episode was split into 2 parts, then they mixed it to 4 because there was another episode with Marco and Alex running for student council president, and then you got yourself Rick coming back in Mercy Street. Rick comes back. The school's not too happy. He's back with no strings attached, as it seems. Page's Click wanted to get rid of him for what he did to Terry. Raj is not doing a damn thing. Raj basically gets mad at Emma, saying, stay out of it. It's not with your stupid crusades. And, that's partially why Emma did the Orange Ribbon campaign. To help Paige, to get into Page's Click, because, Emma lost Manny and Liberty as friends because of her pettiness towards Liberty being with Chris. And it's like, why would Emma do that? If Emma didn't want Chris, why does she give a flying you-know-what that Chris is dating Liberty? Emma deserved it. I will say that. But basically, Emma wants to be part of a new friend group, and Page's Click to get rid of Rick. Rick decides to give his bank account to Emma. Emma sees it, looks at it, and then Alex rips up the check, and Alex tells Emma that she has to deal with domestic violence because of her mother's problems. And we would have given Alex a bit of a break, but Alex became a dick, in a sense. So Emma is basically told to not have feelings towards Rick and all that. So she trips up Rick to prove her loyalty to Page's Click. Rick gets up, and then the boys want to beat him up because they think that Rick is going to go after Emma for what she did. And then they beat up on Rick. Emma stops it. Emma's cause is over, and Emma is basically left friendless, except for the Quiz Bowl team of Rick, Toby, and Heather Sinclair. It gets to the point that Rick gets bullied constantly. He's still at Degrassi. He's not letting anything bother him. And then once he gets put into the dumpster by Jimmy and Spinner, he decides to get spray paint, and the next day he circles and X's their cars, basically trying to prove that, there was a motive. Because he's being bullied, he was hoping that the boys would relent with the shoe being on the other foot. Jimmy ends up being on the quiz team because of Heather's mono. And Rick doesn't know what to do. Rick tries to talk to Raj. Raj basically thinks Rick is being petty about Jimmy not being his friend and shoos him away. Rick was at fault just as much because he could have said the matchup were bullying and Raj would have had to take it the way it is. So anyway, Raj decides... So Rick finally gets Jimmy on his side. Jimmy inadvertently pisses off Spinner, Jay, and Alex because those are the only 3 left that really want to bully him by being on the other side. Spinner and Jay decide to do the paint and feathers to teach Rick a lesson. Rick gets spooked by it. Emma tries to calm him down. Rick kisses Emma because Rick has an affection with Emma. Emma blows him off, yelling at him, and then Rick goes home, gets his dad's gun, and wants revenge on Paige because Paige was spreading the anti-Rick rhetoric. Paige realizes it and basically tells Rick why he's wrong and that everything was childish. Rick puts the gun back in his locker, cleans himself up in the bathroom, but then Spitter and Jay just have to ruin everything by, blaming Jimmy for everything to try to get the heat off themselves. Rick believes their bullshit and shoots Jimmy, even though he turned his head before he shot. If he really wanted to kill Jimmy, he would have looked point blank and boom, Jimmy would have been shot in the head probably. He goes after Emma for spurning him. Sean gets in a gunfight with Rick. Sean accidentally shoots Rick, killing him, and basically there's some backlash in a sense. Jay basically forces Alex and Spitter not to say anything about the fact that they had tricked Rick into shooting Jimmy. Snake is on Raj's case because Raj didn't take everything seriously. Snake takes accountability, and that's, I think, what Snake was trying to do, get Raj to do accountability. But I think Raj did talk about accountability, but he never told the students, and basically just left it in the open. There's a lot of backlash. I would suggest looking at my Rick Murray shooting timeline videos and all that for the the aftermath, the aftermath really hit Jimmy and Emma the hardest. Because, Jimmy's in the wheelchair and all that. We didn't know it was going to be Drake, the rap super god, if you will. And, of course, Emma's character changed after Rick nearly killed her. So, yeah. And, of course, number one on the big 18 list is season 3. I like season 3 in a sense because it brought some good storylines. Marco's coming out of the closet and Spinner's homophobia, but Spinner finally gets put in his place by Jimmy and Marco, and Spinner turns around after realizing how irrational he was. What else? The Manny, Craig, and Ashley love triangle. That was a huge part of season 3, with Manny unfortunately getting impregnated by Craig, and Ashley blowing a gasket over it. And Ashley had every right to. And, Ashley becoming depressed and all that. It was pathetic. How she took it like a woman. How she took it like that. So, yeah, and then the abortion episode that was shown in the States for a couple of years, it showed, Craig may have had a point. It was hinted at, but it was never said that Craig probably wanted the baby because he wanted family, because he lost his mom to a disease. He lost his dad who died in a car crash, and of course his dad abused Craig and all that. Craig didn't really have much left. Emma was not too pleased with Manny aborting the baby, or attempting to, but she basically turns around saying that it's Manny's body and her choice. But I think in a sense that Emma maybe had been talked to by Spike, because Spike kind of knew. But I think Emma was also trying to prove a point, saying that, she thinks what's best for Manny. Emma and Manny basically have an on-again and off-again friendship in season 3 because Manny trying to sexualize herself, and Emma thinks it's a bad idea. Emma gets with Chris after Sean decides to leave Emma for Jay's gang, the Candy Bandits. Emma gets mad at Sean for everything. Sean steals stuff from Emma as revenge, and Emma wants Sean to pay for his crimes. All that. Sean, in the end, stops his gang life thing because when he sees Ellie, he's smitten. So Emma also having the problem with the fact that she finds Shane, who's in a mental deficient home because of an accident to do with Degrassi High and junior high, and how he fell off a bridge. Spike doesn't want to tell Emma about her father, which was stupid, but Snake does the right thing by telling Emma the whole story and says that, there was a lot of problems, and Spike was hoping that Emma would not want to talk about her dad. But, of course, Emma finds out about her dad and yells at him, saying that if you're my mom, we'll never talk again. And then she has a new baby brother, Jack, who she takes good care of because, Snake gets leukemia and all that. So she's got a lot of responsibilities, and Sean doesn't like that. And, of course, who can forget the Breakfast Club send-up that Raj puts the kids in detention? Yes, they all got punishable offenses for detention. It was like Hazel looking at inappropriate sites, Ellie for cutting class. Jimmy and Toby were there because Toby wanted to change Jimmy's grade so that Jimmy could be his best friend after JT snubbed him. And, of course, Sean. That was kind of, I think, maybe Raj sending the message that he needs to stay in control. I don't know. It's just me. But anyhow, I'm going to say this. Nothing can compare to... I'm missing another storyline, I think, from season 3. Am I not? What was it? I feel like I'm missing something from season 3. Oh, yeah, of course. What led up to the Rick Murray situation? Rick, being Terry's secret admirer and giving her roses, and it seemed like a good relationship, but then Rick ruins it by being jealous as fuck because, Terry's too close to Jimmy. So he pushes her on the wall, they break up, and then they get back together, mostly because Terry needs a partner for a road trip because Jimmy's with Hazel and Spinner is with Paige. So she goes with Rick. Everyone agrees to watch for Rick. Paige ticks Rick off, and then Rick goes into the woods. Terry chases after him. Rick is upset and pushes Terry's head on a rock, hurting her and putting her in a coma in a sense. and they want Rick gone. Rick is pulled out of school by his parents. I always thought he was expelled, but nope, it was his parents who pulled it out. I think Rick was lying to his parents about what happened. So yeah, that was the big one. So yeah, season 3 had a lot of good storylines. If you think about it, that's why it's number 1. I'll take that for what it's worth. So anyway, thanks for watching this very long-winded video. But basically, I needed to explain myself why the seasons were good and why the seasons were bad. But you know what? Season 3 is pretty good. And in fact, that was the last season I watched first run before I went to college. Because I was more in line for college, trying to do college and stuff and graduating, which I did 1 year later than I thought I was supposed to. But, that's okay. So anyway, thanks for watching this. And hopefully you like my other Cutter Historical Degrassi stuff. Just search Degrassi on my page, on my YouTube page. You won't regret it. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Ado.